My name's Katie Young. I work at the RNLI and my role is Business and Performance Manager, part of the Engineering Directorate. The enormity of it. So there's so much interconnectivity, there's so many different challenges coming together to sort of breach all the different areas is going to be the difficult bit. And there's quite a lot of sort of conjecture and opportunity as well, and it's knowing at what point do you take the plunge and take the options forward. So yeah, the challenges are just vast and everywhere. It's an interesting one because rising sea levels is just one element of what we're going to see through climate change impacts. So we're focusing on heat and the impacts of our assets on the fleet, but also the kind of the demand put on our organisation. We're also looking at flood risk and the impacts of coastal flooding coupled with sea levels rising. And then the third aspect that we're looking at is sea state change. So I think generally in the UK we're not going to see that big impacts, as assuming that flood defence barriers work. You can see how internationally that's going to have a biggest impact. For us it's everything counts. So every small step, any choices that you can make today, any decisions that you can make, all the quick wins, definitely capitalise on those sooner rather than later. But it's also taking that chance to kind of think more holistically, think bigger, and then plot those step changes. But I think there's more of a cultural change that needs to happen about adapting a kind of learning organisation, build yourself, build your resilience, and build that adaptability into your plans. Collaborate. I think that's the only answer. I think that every opportunity that we have to kind of work together, we should capitalise on that, and we should be working to understand what hydrofoiling capabilities there are alongside what different fuels you might use, but also enhancing, sort of embracing the technology to see what can be done to reduce the risk in the first place, to stop us needing to go out. That would be the greatest impact to our carbon footprint across everywhere. I haven't touched on the kind of more traditional routes around renewable technology installations on your lifeboat stations or your equivalent, moving to lower carbon emission-based fuel is a really good step forward as well. But it's the collaboration for the big changes is what's going to be needed, and I think measuring and knowing where your impacts are is going to be the first step on your journey. Really fine line between making sure that your supporters and the people who use our services by choice or through wanting to visit our locations being preached at, but also having the opportunity to sort of talk about advocacy and how they can support and do their own piece as part of the climate change puzzle. So I think we're subscribing to the nudge model, where you'll constantly sort of introduce the ideas throughout all of our different comms messaging, and just sort of wake people up to the idea that our services are going to be as affected by climate change as are all the other services that are out there to support society.